Good morning. Morning from Captain Edward O'Connell, USS Growler. As I promised yesterday, here's a follow-up video working on the phaser rifle, starting to do some of the cleanup. And I'm also doing some work on the Dolphin phasers and Boomerang phasers I've had around for a while, since probably the last video. I've already tried this video once. There was no sound. I don't know what happened. So this is take two. I've already started some of the work on the Arsenal Models kit, and something that people who are going to get the Arsenal Models kits need to know is they usually come with a lot of mold release on them. I guess that's how the company tries to extend the life of their molds, by caking on mold release and it's sticking to the resin when it's delivered to the client. Uh, there's actually nothing wrong with that. The only thing that's wrong with that is if you were to take it out of the box, assemble it, and then try and paint it, the paint would peel right off. I've had many a prop when I first started with them. I'd put it together, glue everything together, put it together, and start painting it, get through 2 or 3 coats, see a scratch, accidentally scratch it, and peel the entire side off. Not good. A lot of wasted time, a lot of frustration. You start learning that the first thing you should do when you get a prop is to clean it, no matter who you get it from. It had to come out of a mold, and because it came out of a mold, you have to take the mold release off. Uh, in the first video, I showed some of the basic seam line cleaning up. As you can see here, there's a distinct difference between here and the seam line. Basically, what I have is I have a sanding block. One long side and one short side is coarse. One long side and one short side is fine. And what I've been just doing is just running it over the seam, cleaning it up, making it less visible. Now this is the underside, so I may not eliminate that seam line completely, but I am going to get it so it's not that noticeable, and I will probably use something like modeling putty to put over the seam, because there is a slight bow in the surface. I'm not going to sand it, get it flat, but I will put some putty over it, sand the putty over so it's flush, and clean it up that way. One thing I am going to repeat now is a little technique I use to get rid of the resin bubbles, because you want to do it without losing the detail of the raised piece. What I have is a flat bladed X-Acto knife, and what I do is I work the blade along the line, cutting into the resin. I go from both sides, and I push down. Let me do that little one. That should pop easy. See, that pops right off, and you maintain the detailing on the side, and you get rid of that extra resin. You don't really want to take a chance, and when you pop it off or you sand it off, you lose part of the raised detail, because then you have to go back and recreate that using plumber's putty or some other quick drying hard material. Once you get that going, you can start wedging under it like a wedge, a wood cutting wedge or a file, and you'll pop that resin out. If not in one piece, in enough pieces that you get a nice clean surface. That's a little bit more involved than the first piece. There was a piece here, if you remember, look at my video yesterday, that I popped off for the first video. Of course, it cooperated a lot better the first time, but you couldn't hear anything I was saying. Uh, Something I can't recreate because I've already moved on is I'm also working on the 3D printed phaser. Let me see if I can find one on this. If you look closely, there are some breaks in the printing filament, not the filament itself, but when it laid down lines, it broke. It didn't mold together exactly right. Basically, what I have on this right now drying is just liquid nails glue, and I rubbed it in with my finger, pushing it into the crevices. So I'm doing two things at once. I'm filling in those holes that opened up, and I'm also smoothing out the ridges from the printing process itself. When that side is done, I'll flip it over, do the other side, make sure the whole thing is coated in. Then I'll take the sander or just a Scotch Brite pad. As you can see, this one's been well loved and used. And I'll sand it smooth, buff it smooth, then put another couple of layers of clear uh, clear paint. I have about 4 or 5 coats of clear paint that isn't actually clear right now. I went ahead and I put that paint on while it was humid out, and you get a milky finish when you use the clear coat in a humid environment. The fact that I was using it as a primer and a filler didn't bother me that it was milky, because I'm going to end up putting the metallizer color on it when it's done. So, but I would never paint something that was supposed to stay there when it's humid out. Uh, so right now, after this video, after I check the sound quality on it and upload it, I'm going to go out to my makeshift painting booth out on my fire escape, and I'm going to one of the dolphin phasers that I have has been requested to be done in the same way the Nemesis dolphins were, which had a chromed emitter, not the black emitter I prefer, because my preferred phaser is the boomerang. That's why I usually paint the dolphins with the black emitter. What I'm going to do is I'll tape off the emitter using some masking tape and some paper, and I have a very good chrome spray paint that'll chrome over the emitter there, let that dry. At the same time, I'll probably paint up some of the gold pressed latinum I got from a friend of mine, because I have also a good metallized gold paint. See how that comes out. Finish those up in the paint booth out there. As you can see now, I am doing some of the detail painting on this. I'm using the Testors paint markers. I'm actually showing some patience this time. I'm doing the emitter, then I'll do the bed, the control bed, and then I'll do the grip. And do it in stages so it dries in between. On the Cricut phasers I did half of the emitter, and since it rests forward on when it's drying, I didn't do the bottom. I also did the inside of the emitter. I don't know what it is, but I just prefer that black Cricut head, and then the chambers in that black head will be red, because that's what the screen use props use. That's nowhere near a screen use prop, but that's what they used. Other than all of this, I'm going to continue working and probably try and finish up the rear section, which is the largest section of the phaser rifle. I'm going to take the Dremel out in a little while, and I'm going to clean up the back of the grip, because I got to round off the corners on the grip, clean up the section in here. I got a couple of resin bubbles in here that would probably be best off grinding down with the stone wheel on the Dremel. I'll try and repair up some of the bubbles in the grip here before I go in. That'll probably be with the modeling putty, go in there and then cut the channels back in. I'm also thinking about cutting off the surviving rotation hole, then using plumber's putty to repair this side and whatever happens to that side. And then, like I said yesterday's video, I'll use 2 wire hanger hooks, drill them in, putty them down so they look like they're embedded in, and then use the flip up sight that way. I have to clean up this release button. It's a little rounded and a little amorphous. I'll probably sharpen up the lines there. I cleaned out the channel in around the power pack. I haven't cleaned up the power pack itself. I have to do a little finishing cleanup on the power pack channel. When it's all painted, this will be that metallized color you saw on the hand phasers, and these will be this will be black, and I'll probably do this in silver. I haven't bought them yet, but I will buy actually real rifle slings, and they're detachable. So when I'm not using a sling, it'll just be a black nub here and a black nub in the forward section, either on the side or underneath. And then I'll have a detachable sling that I can sling it or just use it as the next generation did, which had no slings. They just carried it. That's pretty much it for now. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to check the quality of the video this time before uploading. I'm going to upload it. A couple of people commented on yesterday's video offering music. Thank you for the offers. I am not quite there yet. I have absolutely no video editing software yet. I'm going to get to that. These are just raw uploaded videos. That's why I look like an idiot sometimes. Thank you very much for following, to everyone's following along. If you did win any of the Arsenal model prop auctions, sound off. Let me know what you won. Let's talk about what you're going to need to finish them if you haven't done them before. If you have done them before, I've done several Arsenal model kits, so I have a little insight on their intricate little idiosyncrasies. Give you some advice, give you some help, give you some advice, help, suggestions, whatever you need, whatever you don't need. I just want to see it when it's done because I'm interested in other people's work. And let's keep promoting the fandom. Live long and prosper, everyone, and I'll talk to you later.